Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Zach is doing his top 10 games of all time.
Yep.
I have done this a few times with other people on the channel. I like to keep them around for a little bit, but my main reason for doing this is because everyone has different tastes. And so the top 10 games of yours might never be mentioned on my channel, might never be mentioned by me. But I think out of everyone, you and I probably share like similar tastes in games. Versus Brett. Brett has done his top 10, and then my friend Brad. But
I think I saw that one.
Yeah. So he does his, and then him and I also do our top 100. So
Right.
But to each their own. So I am here for commentary to either shit on any games that are on your list or to praise them along with you.
Right.
So let's go ahead. You have any caveats for your list? I mean, it's
No, I mean,
pretty simple 10.
yep, pretty simple 10.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go and get started with your honorable mention.
So my honorable mention will be Root.
Oh.
Root is an amazing game.
Yeah. It's your honorable mention.
Is
Lame. It's because you've never won.
I don't win very often in Root, but it's more. I probably have more time struggling getting it to the table than I think it should.
That's fair.
We were just talking about app. I love the app version of it. My wife and I play with it because you can put the AIs on it, and they can be fairly difficult.
Are they actually good? Okay.
If you pick good factions,
Okay.
like not Eerie, anybody but Eerie, then the app is actually solid.
Is
like,
it eerie like busted? Or are they just really bad?
They're bad. Like the
Interesting.
programming for it is just bad in that.
Interesting. Okay.
But Root is my honorable mention.
Who's your favorite faction?
Right now, Vagabond.
Really?
Yep.
That's so interesting. So I've been doing... I need to redo it because I think I did a tier list of the Root faction.
Right.
Surprisingly, there's one on like Tier List Maker.
Right.
But I did it when I was sick, so I just felt like shit. But Vagabond is one I've actually never played.
Really?
I never played a Vagabond.
They are
Like,
considered to be like top 2.
that's what I've heard.
Strongest.
That's what I've heard. I've never seen the Vagabond win in any games.
I have almost never seen them lose in a game.
In the games you've played with me, they lose because I
Right.
win.
Right.
But no, I think my favorite has to be the lizards.
Lizards are great.
The lizards are they're
Yep.
so much fun. It's just like, oh, these are my cards. Oh,
Right.
these are my people. And let me just convert everyone here. It's not the Vagabond. I think the weakest faction is probably, and I think Root is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's
great.
the like epitome of a asymmetric game.
Yep.
And I don't think any faction is bad. Like, it doesn't surprise me that the Vagabond is considered one of the strongest. I just think everyone who plays him probably doesn't play him well.
Right.
But I would probably say the Beavers are the weakest, but have the potential to be super strong.
They have the potential. It's just...
Just never see it. Usually it needs to be played by someone who is very heavy in negotiation.
negotiation and doesn't mind being aggressive at the right moment.
Yeah.
My problem is I think a lot of people who play the Beavers think, oh, I can just sit back and I win.
Yeah.
No, it's I need to negotiate, and then when that moment is to just pounce and crush,
Yeah.
I pounce and crush.
Yeah. But I think I've seen the Beavers played well once, and the guy almost won. But I had I think I controlled like a few clearings, and I got a goal card that gave me a bunch of points for clearings that I owned. But all right, Root, your honorable mention. I figured that would have been your top 10, but that's fair.
Yeah,
it's fair.
All right, let's see. I'm going to pull it up now. The actual list. Okay, so going number 10. This is kind of a little more nostalgic for me. Cosmic Encounter. Love
That's
it.
a good one.
It's great. It's surprising how many people hate it, but I love it.
Really, I don't hear a lot of people hating on it.
A lot of people I've been playing with lately just do not enjoy it, and I don't. And I think it is a shame because at the same time, like, you don't pick who you're attacking.
Yep.
Which is great. So you don't want to be conflict heavy. Chance will pick it for you.
That is
and that's
true.
awesome.
Yeah. No one can get upset. It's
Right.
I'm sorry, the deck told me to attack
Right.
you.
And if you are like, because every faction is, all of them are different, and there's like 200, 300, something like that.
260, something like that.
like if one person gets an overpowered alien, well then everybody just gangs up on that one person. They don't pick them to help ever. They
Yep.
don't, give them rewards.
Yeah.
And if they are way too powerful, then the game's done and you just play again.
Yeah.
30 minutes and you just play again.
Yeah.
That's great.
So on my bachelor party, we played a 5-player game,
Yep.
and a friend of mine, he was the only one who got the red faction, and
Okay.
I think his ability was he could determine the outcomes of certain
Right.
fights, but it immediately wasn't as powerful as we all thought it was. But Cosmic Encounter just is one of the few games on the back of the box that says different every time you play,
Right.
and it's held up
Yes.
to that. Like,
So, like, I have bags, so as soon as a faction is played, it gets
Mm-hmm.
put into a bag, and it doesn't get selected until all the other factions will be
oh
played.
wow, do you have all the expansions
Yes.
for it? God,
All the expansions for it. So, like, I mean, your race of aliens like that thick.
it's insane. I actually got the Broken Token big
Yep.
wooden crate for it, because they had an insert,
Yeah.
just in the base box, but it wasn't holding
Yeah.
all the factions. There's so many. Like, I've thought about doing a ranking list
Yeah.
of all the Cosmic Encounters, like whatever 260 to number 1. I might just have to do a tier list and just look them up and be like, this sounds good or
Right.
it sounds bad, because there's no way I'd ever be able to play all those.
Yep.
It's insane. There is one faction in that entire, like, that I hate.
Yeah.
And it's the one where it's like, you reveal attack cards, and it's like, okay, either you let me win or I add this attack card to, like, my
Right.
attack stack. And
Yes.
it's like, what is that?
Right.
It's so great. And it's a yellow.
Yeah. Again, some are just over the top. I mean,
Yeah.
the creators, like, said, sorry. Like, okay.
Deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a really good pick.
Yeah.
Heavy. I'm wondering if, like, all your games are going to include negotiation, because that is also...
No, not all my games will include negotiation. A couple of them are pretty Euro.
Gotcha.
Like,
Okay.
I am the type of player that likes both heavy Ameritrash / negotiation and heavy Euro games.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there in that same mix. It's
Right.
Ameritrash. It's definitely, it was all Ameritrash at one point, and it's
Right.
definitely drifted.
Yep.
But you gotta be in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Alrighty. So let's go with number 9 is Gloomhaven.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
Did you finish it?
Did.
Gross.
Finished one campaign. I think it took us almost 2 years to finish a campaign of it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was one of the games that, gone to board gaming, my wife got pregnant, so I was doing other hobbies, and basically she was having a tough time, so we went to board gaming.
Okay.
Well, got Gloomhaven for Christmas, and just started playing it through her pregnancy, and we played a lot of Gloomhaven those couple months.
Yeah.
So, yep, I enjoy it. I like D&D. To me, it's D&D without a DM. Less choices, but you don't have a DM, too. You don't have to find it. It was great during the pandemic because you could just play 2 people, set up on a table, and just go through it.
Yeah. Gloomhaven is my number 2.
Okay.
Like my second favorite game of all time. In fact, I don't know if you kind of Jaws of the Lion if you lump them together, or if you play Jaws of the Lion.
Oh, yeah.
But my friend Brad, he hated Gloomhaven. Like, just
really?
hated the hand
Yep.
management, and nothing I could personally say could convince him otherwise. So I got Jaws of the Lion, and I'm like, "Do you just want to go? I just want to try out the tutorial system."
Right.
And I'm like, "Do you just want to run it through me?" And I think it's his number 2 now. Like,
Oh,
he did
really?
like a 180 on it. That
Right.
tutorial system is
Freaking amazing.
it's so good.
So
like
good.
my other friend Devin, he's kind of getting into board games. He usually
Yep.
buys ones from me that I don't like, and his girlfriend doesn't like Gloomhaven hasn't clicked, and I'm like,
Right.
get Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah.
Like it. I mean, at least if you go through the 5 missions of the tutorial,
Right.
if she still doesn't like it, well, at least that's
know.
the fair shake,
Right.
Versus trying to unload those fiddly rules.
No, honestly, Isaac Child's idea of doing Jaws of the Lion as an entry into Gloomhaven was brilliant.
It really was, and making it mass market.
And
too.
make it mass market, make it where you take away some of the heavier rules that you don't touch very often, and just do the core game at a cheaper price with a great story still.
Yep, solid story and 4 amazing characters that
Right.
you could just be like, anyway, I'm gonna put them into my regular Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah.
What was I gonna say? The book in Jaws of the Lion.
Yep.
Like,
Love it.
I know it's a guy who comments and he watches my channel. He prefers the tiles.
Okay.
And for the same reason that Isaac mentions, well, it allows the community to make missions. Because he basically gave the files. He's just like, okay, make Gloomhaven. I think there's a fan-made major expansion that
There is.
and I don't know if it's out yet or they're still working on it. But yeah, just okay, open source. If you guys want to make Gloomhaven expansions, go for it.
I mean, that's what Frosthaven. Frosthaven has like 20 campaign, pieces that are fan made.
Oh, are they?
That basically fans kind of gave the overarching idea, and then Isaac's team cleaned them up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a Return to Dark Tower mission in it.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. I usually I've stayed away from Frosthaven. I'm just every update I'm just like, when's it shipping? Okay.
Yeah. That's same for me.
And then no update. Okay. But
Yep.
damn it, what was I saying? And it's awesome that he's like, you know what, we're still gonna do the tiles, but we're gonna make the book for
Yep.
Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. You just buy them separate. I'm like,
Right.
thank God.
Right.
So, so I still haven't beat my personal
Sure.
campaign. I still have my solo where I'm controlling the brute and the sorceress.
Okay.
I think they're like max level now because I
Right.
just refuse to retire them.
Right.
But so out of those 5, because I think I have not opened any of those envelopes. Out of the Mind Thief, Cragheart, Brute, Sorceress, and it's the Rogue.
Yeah, I know. The Mind
Scoundrel?
Thief. Oh, yeah,
The
Scoundrel. Yep.
Which one's your favorite?
The Mage.
The Mage?
Yeah. It was my starting one. My wife did the Scoundrel. Yeah, for the start, like, just those 5 are just great.
It's so deep.
It
Like,
is.
just that character depth.
Right.
The Sorceress can get an unlimited card engine.
Right.
And it's just like, she's never exhausting now, unless she just gets hit really hard, which
Right.
sucks. But yeah, Gloomhaven's so good.
It is great.
The have you tried it on Steam?
I have
I
not yet.
hate it.
Yeah. I was kind of like the opinion is like, okay, I'm going to play this pretty much only with my wife.
Yeah.
Why would I spend it on Steam to either play it by myself or with random other people?
Yeah. A friend of mine, because I keep talking it up, we bought it off Steam.
Okay.
And it's because when it's a board game and you're drawing like shit,
Right.
and you can at least be like, we're gonna move on.
Right.
But the game on Steam felt so rigged against you
Right.
that it was always negative draw, like your modifier, negative, 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 miss. So it shuffles all your negatives back in. So on one Saturday, we had 10 hours in it, beat 2 missions. And I'm like, it was so infuriating.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are talking it up, whatever. It just sucks. I'll play it in person.
Yep, I'll play it in person.
All right. Good
Right.
choice.
Number 8, Quaxaquidlingburg.
Ooh, yeah, that's another good one.
Yep, I like it. It's my preferred risk-taking game.
Okay.
It's also one of my got new people in board gaming. Let's play this game. It's not hard to teach.
No.
It's you choose your own risk level. So
Yeah.
you hit 6, you can quit.
Yeah.
Or you can be like me and say, let's gamble with this one.
Flip the board.
And to me, that's great because it feels like a lot of player interaction, and there's almost none.
No, not at all.
But you're like kind of watching other people's pots and looking at it, and yet no interaction.
Yeah.
And I've never felt like we're just heads down playing a game by ourselves, counting up the numbers.
Right.
And that's kind of unusual for a game that has almost no player interaction.
Right. And
involved in it.
it's one of those push your lucks where it's like if you bust, it's not like, oh well, I get nothing.
Right.
Like you still get something.
Yep.
I remember when that game came out, a lot of people shit on the catch-up mechanic.
Right.
And as I played it, I'm like, no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Especially
great.
if you're behind, everyone's still in it.
Yes.
And that's
And it's where I tell new players, like, okay, the first 3 pots, bust, honestly.
Yeah.
It's actually a benefit to bust because you're going to get more money for chips. And because of that catch-up mechanic, you will catch up.
yeah.
So, like, I was playing with Deandra the other night, and I told her my strategy, and she started doing it, and she wins now, like,
Yeah.
on a pretty consistent basis.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I mean, you just bust the first 3 times, maybe 4, kind of. That's where you got to push that luck.
Yeah.
And then you go for points again.
Yeah, that's true. That's not horrible. Have you played with the expansions?
I have not.
Yeah, okay. I haven't either.
Most people I've talked to just said it just makes it bigger.
Sure.
And so it doesn't make it better, like
Yeah.
a better experience.
I think more variety for the chips
Right.
is just always a good thing. Just
Yep.
different combinations of how you're going to build your bag.
Yep.
That designer, was it Kramer? Is it
I don't remember
Wolfgang?
off the top of my head.
I'm looking at. I have Alchemist over here. It is. Yep. No, not Kramer. Wolfgang Vorsch. He's the one who also did Wavelength.
Okay.
He played Wavelength, and he's also done Taverns of
Yeah.
something.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
He's doing another one called Amygdala. I
Huh.
think so. It looks like kind of like it's supposed to. I think it's a party-esque kind of game of like a, not psychedelic, but maybe psychiatric.
Sure.
But he's a designer that I keep an eye on
Yeah.
now because I've enjoyed most of his games.
Yep.
That one, this top 100 just squeaked in at
Okay.
number 100. I
Right.
think it was just outside last time I did it. But the reason why I went up more is because that is the one game I was able to teach my mom,
Yeah.
and she was able to, like, after a few games, like, was able to just, because we were doing it like, okay, like, now I draw, it goes here,
Yep.
now you draw, we went back and forth, and then a couple games later, she's playing, doing
Got it.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I need to try the expansions.
Yeah, I need to
I have
as
them
well.
both.
I need to at least try them.
Yeah.
So
All right, what was that? Your number 8?
that was 8.
Cool.
So let's look at 7. Search for Planet X.
Wow,
Yep.
really?
To me, it's always a puzzle.
I'm gonna look at my top 100, see where that's at. I don't
Right.
think it's on my list. I don't think it just made it.
It's a lot of people's not on their list. I get it. It is basically a more, to me, it's Sudoku, but played against someone else. Because it's just a giant logic puzzle at the end of the day. But I like logic puzzles.
No, it's really good. I think it's good only on the advanced.
Yes, 100%.
I don't like it. Well, it's not that I don't like it on its basic. I find it too simple is the wrong word. Everyone will come to the conclusion at the same time in the basic, and it just and then it revolves really around turn order.
Right.
On lucky me, I'm before all of you. It's right here, and everyone else is like, yeah, I knew where it was too.
Right.
On advance, it's like that's really where the logic comes in.
Right. I do like the standard for getting a new player into the game.
Yes.
But once you've played it once and kind of have an idea, you move to advance and you play it through advance, and then it is a giant puzzle.
Yes.
And the fact that it's a moving puzzle constantly, you use codes. Now, some people might dislike it. It's app-based. I don't
They can
mind
get
that.
over it. Anyone who says apps are ruining board games, fucking grow up.
Yeah, I mean,
it's genius.
Yes.
I'll agree with them if it's more app than board game.
Right.
Like Destiny's, I was doing solo and I was like doing that, and I'm like, oh, I haven't even touched my piece.
Right.
That's a different story.
right. I mean, so like, I use the Gloomhaven helper
Oh my
and the
God.
map, because the map would basically give it, so it's clouded, so I don't see
Yes.
what the rooms are, which is like, yes, finally!
Yeah.
The helper was way better at tracking health than
Oh
any
my
of the
God.
cardboard. And I get Isaac still wants to do cardboard. Awesome.
Yeah.
There's people that want to do the
The
cardboard.
company who made the helper isn't doing it.
I know.
For Frosthaven
I told my
Mouse.
wife, like, hey, Isaac said he's like looking for someone.
He is looking. Oh, yeah, and I'm glad they are.
Yeah.
like because, and I get the app sometimes for stuff like that because they paid $100, and $100 is a lot to some people, so they want to
Right.
use everything, and I get that.
Right.
But that helper, it's like, and then foreteller, like
Yeah.
for the audio,
Love it.
it's like so Madara, for example, it's called a
Yep.
I think it's NDS, narrative driven, or NDG or something.
Sure.
If I had to read that out loud, I would never play that game.
Right.
The foreteller just.
Foreteller just makes it so much better.
Oh my god. And Gloomhaven is by far the best narration.
Yes.
Like they do voice acting, sound
Yes.
effects. No one else does that so far. So I don't know why Gloomhaven's different.
I think some people, I mean, I think Foreteller's first one was Gloomhaven.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, that was a lot of work. But back to your actual number 7. So Search for Planet X is actually... It's not on my top 100, but it is 110.
Really?
It is actually higher than
Okay.
than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super solid. But
for me, it's my go-to. I'm feeling like a pretty good puzzle and a very competitive puzzle.
Yeah, because what
It's-
other games are like it?
I don't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's super unique.
I mean, I know there's like maybe not board games out there that are
Right.
But, I mean, obviously logic puzzles, but
Right.
I guess the one hang up that Search for Planet X has is, especially if you're teaching new people, if you mess up on one rule,
Yep.
your game is over.
You're done.
It's shot.
Right.
And so it's like you need to stress to them, like
Right, you need to be exact.
pay attention,
Right.
because if you're like, oh, I didn't know that, it's like you're getting everything wrong.
Right.
I think there was also something else I didn't quite care for. Was like, what was it? If you're the first to find Planet X,
You get 10
isn't it
points.
based? But then everyone else is based off of how far behind they
Yeah.
were. I thought that was kind of weird. But anyway,
So the way, because the game explains it, so the reason being is if you're farther behind, it means you took less turns, and so it's worth more points. So the farther you are from the person who discovered it, and you are correct, you get more points. So I think it is, if you're like 6 spaces away, you can get the 10 points.
yeah, that's right.
But if you're right behind, yeah, of course you should have it. You took the same number of turns.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not that it's a bad rule. I just think it's
Right.
like, well, it's not as rewarding if you're the first one to find it.
But the alternative is you can put 2 tokens down. So if you know like 2 things like where 2 gases are, you can get like 8 points right there. So
Yeah,
you just have to
that's
make
true.
it. So if you're close and like, okay, I'm only going to get 2, but hey, I can get 4 points here. You just
Yeah.
got to make a choice then.
Yeah, that's true. I think that was on Brett's list as well.
Was it?
I think so. I think it was higher up on his list, which also shocked me. I could be wrong. I'd have to relook at it, but I'm pretty sure
I could see it.
because it was one of those that it's just all in your own head. You don't have to
Right.
rely on anyone.
Yep.
It's not quite like Alchemist.
Yeah.
If you ever played Alchemist, where it's like you have to put theories out and
Right.
hope you're right, and people can like piggyback off you.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a good game. I still have it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll release any expansions for it.
I haven't heard of anything,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they will.
All right.
Alrighty. So 6 is Whitehall Mystery.
I have no idea what that is.
So it is
is
Letters
that
from
the-
Whitechapel, basically the revision of it.
That's right.
It's a cleaned up version. So for me, it's the improved Fury of Dracula. It's the improved Friday Night. It's the improved Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
So it's hidden movement. It's always 3 on 1.
Okay.
Kind of the cool mechanic though is it's 7 quadrant, and Jack has to pick the number of spaces that he has to drop body parts on in each quadrant before the game starts.
Okay.
I mean, he has 15 turns to get there.
Okay.
And I have almost never felt in that game on both sides a tension of I'm right there, they're right behind me continuously the entire game. Like, because Jack has some extra powers, like, I could use them, but I know I'm going to need more of them for that last quadrant because they know it has to be 1 body part per quadrant. So
Yeah.
I start with 3, have to go to 1 of 3. They're probably not going to catch me on that first one.
Okay.
But by the time I'm done with 2 buy drops, they know that's only 1 more quadrant, and they can start cutting me off and
Yeah.
stopping my
So you have
movement
15 turns to pick up all
to
the
get to
bodies?
the next buy spot, and then it
Okay.
starts over.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's different than the original Letters,
Right.
where you start at a dead body and you have 15 turns to get to your hideout.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that one. Okay. Yeah, I that does ring a bell. Is that the blue box?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the blue box one.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, well, why would I get this when I own the original? You know?
And most people saying you don't. But if you're going to pick up one or the other, I pick up the blue box over
Okay.
the red box. The red box, I think, had an expansion to help fix
did.
some of the problems.
Yeah.
And then they, I guess, went back to the drawing board and just redid the game.
Yeah. I don't think the red box is broken in any way.
Nope.
I think the expansion just added like a lot more modules to.
Right.
If you do find it difficult to catch Jack, then
Right.
give the police officer special powers. If you find it, hard to beat Jack, then you get the Dear Boss letters.
Right.
I think that was for him, or stuff like that.
Right. So this one did give, if the cops are struggling, you can give the cops one-time powers. So Jack, I think, has 6 powers, and they're doubled up. So a carriage to go an extra space, a back alley to go basically through a
Okay.
block, and then 2 boats. But boats
okay.
are fairly limited. There's only a couple sections that you can use water.
Gotcha.
And if you use it, it's fairly obvious
Right.
where you went.
Right.
It's kind of those Hail Mary type ones.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Because he had the carriage as well, let him move twice,
Right.
and then the alleys to cut across buildings.
Right.
Yeah. No, that one, I actually played Letters from My Chapel on my bachelor party as well, and lost. Because they were doing well enough.
Yeah.
Like, at the first, because a friend of mine, they were drinking at the time, and they were so off, and my friend Bailey, he was like, well, he probably went here, and I always hug the edge.
Sure.
I'm just awful at it, apparently, because, like, but what's great about those hidden movement games is if one person's right, he's most likely getting drowned out by the other players.
Yeah.
So Bailey was like, he probably went this way, and everyone else was saying, no, he probably did this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, listen to those people. And then it took them till the third night where you have to do the double murders.
Right.
And the way that they set up the police officers, I was like, I think I'm busted no matter who I kill.
Sure.
And they got me, but...
Yep.
And that's fun because it sucks because usually a lot of hidden movement games are like, it's more fun to be the one that's hidden.
Right.
Unless you're playing mind management, then it's not fun to be either. But, so is that your favorite hidden movement, is Whitehall?
It's fast, so like a game
True.
is in 45 minutes versus, I like Fury.
Yeah.
You're saying 2.5 hours.
If everyone's played.
If everyone's played.
Yeah.
So, and it is a good game, and combat is kind of hit or miss for me in it. It's a little complicated for what it is.
It's rock, paper, scissors, but with like 2 extra rules.
Right.
Yeah. But the Fury, I really like the fact that combat is a thing.
It
That
is.
It's like, if it's nighttime, I can flip it on you, versus Jack, where it's like, you're running the entire time.
Right, and that's it. Thing I do like about Jack, though, is I can backtrack.
True.
In Fury, you can't backtrack, and it's like, oh,
You
that's rough.
can. You 6 turns later. Sure. You have to run in a circle to be able to backtrack, but yes. Yeah, you can just 13, 14, 13, 14, and just kind of go
Right.
back and forth, and then whoop.
Until they walk past you.
Yeah.
And, yep.
Have you played Hunt for the Ring?
I have not yet.
Okay. That one you'll have to give a try because
Right.
it's by Ares,
Yep.
and it's 2 parts
Yep.
where the first part is your traditional getting Frodo over to Bree.
Okay.
And then the second half is you actually play as Gandalf, and Gandalf's hidden, and you pick, and Frodo is on a track, like a
Sure.
like he's on a scripted path, and you use Gandalf to distract and move the Nazgul and like fight him off.
Interesting, okay.
And what's really cool about that is once you're done, depending on how well the Fellowship player did, you can actually, they have rules to start War of the Ring differently.
Oh.
So if he gets corrupted in Hunt for the Ring, he starts off with like a little bit of corruption in War of the Ring.
That'd be fun.
So you can do like a whole Lord of the Rings like night.
Oh, that'd be good.
right?
I like War of the Rings.
War of the Ring is super good. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I've played it.
It's been a while. Like at least 6 months, maybe more
Oh,
now.
that's way longer. Or that's way mine
played-
is way longer.
I played it once last year, I think.
Yeah, I almost
that's a
pulled the
good
trigger.
game.
Someone was selling like the collector's edition.
I saw that.
and I was like, this was the one that I was doing. It would have been a few years, but I was like, dude, I can make payments because it's like, what is it like?
So someone's selling it right now that I saw for like $1,500.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I think he was selling it for 12, and I'm like, dude, I can't drop 12 right now, but I'll make
Right.
payments. And he was gonna work with me. He was like, hey, if I don't find anyone who wants it, then yeah. He's like, obviously, I won't ship it to you until
Sure.
you. And I'm like, that's fine. He found someone who
Right.
was, and I'm like, well, obviously, that's the way to go. But yeah, like I thought that was a really neat thing, and it's getting an expansion. Hunt for the Ring.
Oh,
is,
Hunt for the
yeah,
Ring.
and War of the Ring is getting an expansion.
Its final expansion.
Is it the last one?
Yeah, because they said they're only going to do 3 expansions for it.
Okay. I don't even know they had a hard cap. It's not
It's
Warriors.
Ares game.
No,
Ares.
it's Ares. I'm trying to think of the new expansion because it was supposed to come out last year.
Oh, right.
But I think it adds like more dwarves and
Yeah.
more factions. But so yeah, Hunt for the Ring is a really solid one.
Yeah.
But yeah, also try Whitehall Mystery. I mean, if it's basically a shorter Blows from Whitechapel, then
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool, all right.
All right. So let's go to next one. So that was 6. So 5, Great Western Trails.
There it is.
Yep. Solid
There it
game.
is. You didn't replace it with Maracaibo?
No.
Or Blackout Hong Kong?
No.
We literally just played those two.
Yeah, so that I was like thinking like the other day, it's like, we played Dead Reckoning. That was a really good game, but I don't think I can put my top 10 to at least have 4 games under my belt with
Yeah,
it.
that's fair.
So it, something might change over, but Great Western Trails is a beautiful game. It is. For me, it's clean. It's the perfect Euro style game for me. There's some player interaction, but fairly limited. Pretty much just building placement,
That's it,
realistically.
Just if you might have to pay them a coin or two.
Right. The only other is, basically jockeying for buying certain workers. Because there's a timing window for that. But,
Yeah, but
it's
even
still,
then-
it's not that bad.
No one's really... no one's taking a worker from you. It's
Right.
just they're taking the cheapest one.
Right.
And,
I mean, unless they're doing Cowboys. Sometimes people will rush for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a strain on not having enough Cowboys.
What's your main path? You do Cowboys, builders, or
So I do
engineers?
Cowboys, then the conductors,
Conductors.
or engineer, whatever they...
I don't remember. Yes, the train guys.
The train guys. Because my philosophy is always, so I push to get, as fast as possible, increase hand size.
Okay.
So I want that 5 and 6 card in my hand as soon as possible. My goal is always to get that first one done on round 3.
Yeah.
Third time to Kansas City. Because I think if I don't do that, it's hard to win the game. Or at least you have a huge advantage. Because again,
Sure.
it just gives you that extra couple bucks theoretically when you get to Kansas City, or you have more chances of just
Of having the diversity. Yeah.
counts.
I usually go after extra hand size once I have a variety of cows.
Right.
But I'm all about end game victory points.
Sure.
And so just racing for those train conductor
Right.
spots to get to snag those before anyone else can. That's usually my strategy.
Right.
I have never gone buildings.
So we did the other day, like my wife
Because you
and I
have to
did.
eventually cycle because you
do.
And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, you get a bunch of points if you get your 12s
Right.
out, but it's like, I just think that's kind of weird a little bit.
Yeah, so I've never done it where I thought that was going to be my main goal.
Yeah.
I've done it to supplement, which I'll say the second edition to me does a good job of encouraging you to get buildings because there's more objective cards that have, 2 buildings on it that you
yeah.
need to build.
Right.
And it's worth 5 points. I mean, I've scored like 30 points in, objective cards.
Yeah.
And just being aggressive on those objective cards. I'm pretty...
Well, because you also get the instant bonus for the
Right.
objective cards, and then if you play them, then you're like, okay, here's something I can do.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty aggressive when it comes to also buying cows, so I spend pretty much every dollar I have on cows as soon as
Okay.
I can.
Yeah.
You should get extra cowboy before you buy cows. There's times there's like, no, cows are the game. Like, at the end of the day.
Right.
So I'd rather buy cows than get workers sometimes.
I remember the first time I played Great Western Trail, it was a friend and I, we were learning it, and the final score was I don't even remember what I had, we'll just say 60 points. He had 4. And I remember tallying it up, and I was like, what do you think? Because at that point we didn't realize, if you can't progress on the selling to cows, you have to default to Kansas City. And that's -6 points, and you can actually stack.
Yes.
And when we did the run through for the first edition, we did it with the expansion, and I trained everyone
Right.
just to understand you have every single cycle, you have to do better each
Yes.
time. Otherwise, you will lose.
Right.
Like, but I remember I played that with Josh, Zach, other Zach, and Ashley. Not your wife. The deaf one, because it was his copy and he wanted people to play it. Zach and Josh were new to it, and they did well. Like, and Ashley was really good too. It's so solid.
Yeah.
I would say the expansion is a must.
For first edition, I would agree.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, because it's not out for
Yeah.
second edition yet, but first edition, just because that the selling cows up to the cities
Right.
is lame.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, ooh, I get an objective card for
Right.
this one, but the other one, it's like you have paths to like put
Yes.
your buildings on and get bonuses for that.
Right. No, I did like the trains. I didn't play it very often. I did own first edition, so when second edition came out, I bought that one.
Such an improvement.
It's so good.
That art is amazing.
Yep.
It's like traditional Western art, and
Right.
the first edition looked like some 90s computer game.
Right. I like I'm trying to remember what the orange cows are. We now pretty much only play with them. The ones that grow every time you bring to Kansas City.
Oh,
It's an
they're a
expansion.
variant, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't played with them.
Super fun.
Really?
Because they're more expensive. So they're a $2 cow to begin with, and they're more expensive than like a $3 cow.
Okay.
Every time you take them to Kansas City, like the first time, it becomes a $4 cow now.
Oh, okay.
And then a $5 cow.
Okay. Interesting.
You can have multiple in your deck, so you might have a 2 and a 5.
Nice.
Now they still only count. You only count one color, of course.
Right.
But at the same time, it just keeps growing, and that's
Okay.
kind of fun.
That is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, the solo variant for Great Western Trail is extremely solid.
That's what I've heard.
Well, they even say, like, whenever you're reading the little description, it's just like, it's like, oh, hey, this is the perfect time for you to try out strategies.
Right.
Because he's so simple, and because
Right.
there's very little player interaction, you don't feel like you're competing, really.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like that would be the perfect opportunity to be like, I want to try going all out on buildings. And
Right.
that's it. And you don't have to feel bad when you get 10 points and everyone
Right.
just gets 80 because you
Right.
went all out on buildings.
Right.
So, I'm excited to see what they do with that trilogy.
Yep.
I have no idea. Like,
Nope.
if I had to guess, it's going to be. It's probably going to be the exact same game, just a different theme.
And that's what I was
Not
thinking. I was
theme,
trying
but-
to figure out like it was going to be like the 18X games where they're all kind of the same train game, but they're all just kind of dressed up differently.
Right. It's like, oh, okay, this is Missouri,
right.
but this is New Zealand.
Right.
Okay. You
Right.
know, I'm hoping that's not the case, but
And from artwork, it looks differently because I think New Zealand's supposed to be like sheep.
okay.
Except
It's
cows.
it's the exact same
Right.
game, but with sheep, and you're like, what the fuck? Why did I buy it?
Right.
Why am I playing it?
I mean, I'll probably still play it.
I probably would too. If it was New Zealand, I'd probably. And if it was Great Western Trail, but New Zealand, I'd probably always play that one.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's a solid one. I could see. It depends on how the Maracaibo expansion is, but Maracaibo has the potential, for me anyway, to maybe surpass Great Western Trail, only because if I were to play Great Western Trail 10 times in a row,
Yep.
probably by game 5 I would be bored, because you do realistically do the same thing.
Yep.
There is variety and there is different ways to score, but it is still kind of the same thing over and over.
Yep.
Maracaibo doesn't have that.
Right.
At least, with your ship,
Right.
everyone's going to do the same thing.
But the cards are
But the
varied
cards,
enough
yes.
that you're not going to do the same strategy every single time.
Exactly.
And so,
Your prestige, I think, is what those major
Right.
cards were, are going to be different.
Right.
So it has a more variety with the still kind of rondel aspect. So
right.
But so far it isn't. Great Western Trail is still higher by I think like 10 points. So we'll see if the
Expansion
the expansion
fixes
not necessily fixes it, but
Yeah,
improves
the score.
and that campaign, I've heard the campaign is relatively neat. There's not many Euro games with a campaign,
Right.
at least narrative. So we'll see.
Right.
All right, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is going to be Zulkin.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Yep.
I have never played it, so I have no idea.
It is honestly probably for a Euro game one of my favorite, mostly because of the gear wheel. So
Okay.
one of the things I dislike about Euro games or even games just in general, is upkeep at the end of a round. because all of your workers are on a gear, and all you have to do, and all you have to do is literally turn the one gear tooth one time in the center wheel, and it moves everything. And so basically, you do all your upkeep right then and there. It is absolutely fantastic.
Isn't it like that's where you place your workers are on this
Right.
wheel, and the longer they're on there, the more they get?
The more value there's added
Okay.
to it. But the great thing is, because again, it costs more for you to put higher up on the wheel, but you have to put, so if you're, like if I go first, I have to put the lowest tooth possible on that gear.
Okay.
Okay? Then you come, well, you really still want to get on, let's say, the food wheel.
Okay.
It just costs you more, but you actually jump ahead of me
Oh,
on
okay.
that wheel. And so it's kind of a push-pull of penalty versus not, because you're higher, so you're going to get better rewards.
Okay.
But kind of one of the cool things is every single turn, you either put meeples onto the wheel or you pull them off. It's one of the two choices every single time.
Okay.
And so, like, you have 3 to 6, right, as your starting ones. Well, if I have all 5 or all 6 of mine, I might put 4 on first, and then next turn put 2 more on that wheel, and then pull 3 off.
Okay.
And leave 3 more on, so they've been just cooking on that wheel for a long time to get to high value spots.
So it's essentially a better idea of like Architects,
Right.
Where it's like, hey, I can really get a bunch of
But you can't really harm people
Yeah.
other than filling up a wheel where they can't
right.
pay for it.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like you can really bide your time and be
Right.
like, now I'm gonna pull them.
Right.
And then, so what do you do with resources? You have buildings? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
So there's building buildings, there's science and technology to improve things. There are the faith tracks on there to go up in temples.
Oh, so kind of like Teotihuacan?
Yes.
Okay.
There's an entire wheel that is literally the crystal skulls, so it's blue crystal skulls
Oh,
that
okay.
you place on there for
Cool.
rewards. And I played a lot of different games with a lot of different strategies, and lots of them work. It's
Okay.
not like you have to do this path to win the game. I've seen people just go science
Okay.
and win the game, because there are temples that you build for yourself that are end game victory points. So some of them are like be the highest in the temple track, or have the most science. If you have that, it's every time you max out science, it's 4 points to 36 points if you max out all 4 sciences.
Okay.
But you
So-
have to race for those because they're all open for everyone to purchase.
Oh, okay. But once you purchase them, it's
They're
only
yours.
Okay.
Yep, and you're the one that gets
There's
it.
no way I wouldn't like that game. It's
Yeah.
I don't think it's truly considered part of the T series, but it's like T series adjacent,
Right.
Because it technically was in 2012, but then Teotihuacan came out, and then Tekhenu, then Tawantinsuyu. In fact, I think Trismegistus is another one that isn't really considered
Sure.
in that genre, but I have that as well. But it is Daniel Tassini, and we just played Tekhenu.
Yep.
So you can definitely see the Zolkin, from what you're saying, sounds more closer to Teotihuacan
Yes,
than
much more
any
close.
of the other ones.
Right.
And Teotihuacan's fantastic.
It is great.
So I don't know why I haven't played it. Like I just
Yeah.
don't.
I was a little surprised when you said you didn't play it. It's honestly a fantastic
like
game.
if I can, I'd have to look through probably the BGG top 100 to make my top 10 popular games that I haven't played. That's what. Yeah. Speaking of, whenever I ask you if you consider apps, technically, if we're not considering apps, I've never played Carcassonne.
Oh, really?
No, just never played it in person. I finally got around to playing Alhambra, and
Okay,
that
yeah.
one's super solid.
Yep.
But yeah, just the older, because I wasn't. No, I would have been slightly into board games around college. That was around 2012, but that was way into Ameritrash. So
Right.
games like Tzolk'in, which is 2012 when that came out, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
It would never have come on my radar. Right. So it's like I need to go back and play those. But it's there, and I've heard the expansion is good as
Love
well.
it. I wouldn't play without it anymore.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And it comes
Is it
with
just the
2.
one?
So it has 2 modules in it.
Okay.
One is basically asymmetrical powers. That's the one that I would use. The other
Yeah.
one's okay. It definitely adds more thought process to the game,
Okay.
but it doesn't make it harder or more. It just makes it more
Yeah.
complicated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Asymmetrical powers, way to go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even
100%.
the expansion, the first expansion to
Yes.
Teotihuacan,
Yep.
it was like, thank you.
Right.
But all right, so the asymmetrical power is only positive because
Yes.
in Teotihuacan, it's just like, here's what you can do. That's amazing. Here's your negative power, and you're like, that sucks.
So I'll call it. There are okay. If you don't like one faction, you start off with 5 workers instead of 3.
Oh,
But your
okay.
workers cost more to feed every quarter.
So they
it's
do
4
they do
feeds
have a
out.
double-edged sword.
There was-
ability. Okay.
But most, quite a few don't. But realistically, starting the game with 5 workers is just,
It's
in
huge,
my
yeah.
opinion, is huge. So if you didn't have it, that person probably would just win every single time.
Okay.
And honestly, with 5 workers, it's not that hard to manage 1 extra food per worker.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I like the double-edged
double-edged,
sword
yeah.
aspect of the.
But most don't
powers.
have double-edged swords. Most are pretty much, I would call it lesser powers that are just decent, but not over the top.
Okay.
Not unequal to everyone else.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
Well, good deal. Yeah.
Yep.
It's we'll just have to pop it out one day.
Right. Alrighty.
Now
Number
you're-
3.
Number 3.
So another Euro game.
All right.
Paladins of the Western Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah. So question: is that at number 3 because of the expansion, or was it already
Oh, it
at
was
number
already
3?
number
Okay.
3. So, like, we played the expansion. And to me, it was fine.
Okay.
Like, it would not be something I say, I need to play with that every single time.
That's fair.
To me, Paladins was tight. I like
Yeah.
the tightness of Paladins.
Right.
And that, to me, is probably why it's at my number 3. It's such a tight game. It's such a... If you are all, like, really good deep thinkers, can plan 3 moves ahead type players,
Yeah.
Paladins is the game to play.
Yeah.
That's where you bring at the table, the chess players who are just below, like, they can play with their eyes perfectly closed and just see the board. Everyone right below that level, Paladins.
Yeah.
Just play it.
Yeah. Now, Paladins, I think I have it out of the 3. I think I have Viscounts higher.
Okay.
But that's kind of based off of memory, because I remember
Sure.
when I've only played Viscounts once, and I was like, I really like this.
I like it. I played it today.
Oh, you did?
Yep. Before I came over here.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
But I haven't played it. I played Paladins more recently because
Right.
they had the
The
expansion.
expansion.
But then Viscounts is now getting 2 expansions.
Right.
So then I'll get a chance to play it again. But
Right.
yeah, like the expansion to Paladins, I agree. I wouldn't play it like it's not like a must-have. I wouldn't be like, hey,
That's
I'm
my
teaching
thing.
this game with this expansion.
Right.
But I enjoy the expansion a lot
Yep.
because it still kept the tightness, but also let it be open.
It
as
gave
well.
another option without changing the fact that I can't win without going my normal strategy.
Yeah.
It gave an alternative way to play that wasn't more powerful or less powerful than any other element in it. It just
Yeah.
was more of choices.
Yeah.
Which, again, one of the things I liked about Viscounts, I liked about Paladins, I even kind of like about Architects is I have choices. Now, like you said, Architects, when you play with people, it's like you're getting too powerful in one area, they're going to stop you, and they have
Yeah.
much more power to stop you. Paladins is I can kind of just look at my table and say, okay, if I do this and then this and then this, I get 4 more workers, which allows me to do this and then this and then this, and that gives me 2 more workers, and boom, 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 and I'll save these 3 because I'm pretty sure I'll get enough to do 4 extra actions next time.
Right.
And for me, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's super rewarding, especially whenever you can just combo off.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, man, like now I have all these workers.
Right.
Because that company, Garfield, just like the way that they use the different colored workers
Yes.
is so
Amazing.
exciting.
Yeah.
Have you played Hadrian's Wall?
I have not yet.
If you play it, I play it solo.
That's what
Because you're
lot
you're
of people
literally not affecting anyone
Yeah.
else. Most complex roll and write. It's
Yep.
a game that I think I ranked it like a 9. It's so
Okay.
good, I will never own it. Just because I don't play solo games.
Yeah, and that's everybody said play it solo.
Yeah.
And I don't play solo games. I'm not a huge roll and write fan.
Yeah.
Personally.
That one I think you would really enjoy because it does that same
Yeah.
colored worker
Right.
combo. Like okay, if I do this, that explodes into these colors, and then I can
Right.
use those, and it's just like it does that exact same thing as Paladins, but
Right.
in a pretty complex roll and write.
Right.
But I remember when we were doing the expansion, there was one thing. It somehow I don't even remember how I ended up winning because I felt like I was struggling with workers the entire time, and I remember I was getting hosed every fucking turn because it's
Right.
like, oh, it's my turn to pick first. Wait, yay! Like all
Yeah.
those cards sucked, and I'm like, and then come to you, and it's like gold and purple, and I'm like, why? Like one card is gold and purple, and I'm like, what? Okay, I guess I got all these whites.
And I forgot that, like, so you have gold because you got the Kickstarter version,
promo, yeah.
So I don't have like the gold in my version.
Right.
Like, I kind of need to get those.
Because I remember we saw the card and we're like, what the hell is that?
What's
we had to like
that?
look it up, and apparently we're idiots because we had no idea how that expansion, like
Right.
those symbols work. And I'm like, oh, we're just stupid.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And the thing was, like, how it actually played out was like super logical for the rest of how everything else was
I know, but
symbolized. It's
somehow just like
we could not figure that one out.
and then we're like looking at it, it's like, oh,
Right.
after we're like 30 minutes into the discussion talking
Right.
about how it's like garbage, and then
Yeah.
we're like, oh no, we're just dumb.
Right.
Yeah, no, Paladins is
Paladins is
super good.
solid.
So good.
Great game.
Even though it has the worst artist in the entire industry.
Yeah, for me the art's fine. It's not. I'll say, other than convincing people to play board games, art matters a lot less to me.
Yeah.
than it matters to some other people.
Right. Yeah, no, it's I think it matters more in like campaign, like narrative
Yes.
games, so I can visualize if I'm trying to role play.
Right.
Right. No, but the Miko, it's like his landscape and like it's like that's great. His people are grotesque. It's
Yes.
like, dude, I would shoot this person if I saw them coming at me and be like, oh my god.
Right.
But
But at the same time, like, I do like the fact that all three use the same art style.
yeah.
And, you know, to me it's take or leave.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't affect my gameplay. It doesn't affect any enjoyment of the actual game because the mechanics are just so solid.
Yeah. I'm actually amazed Viscounts isn't higher because of the fact that it's a Rondell game as well as it being extremely... Well, Viscounts probably isn't as tight,
It's not as tight.
but...
Because there's so many... Viscounts feels like there's like 4 main routes, and you choose 2, maybe 3 to go down, and that's your game. With Paladins, like, I definitely go 4 of 6 pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And even a lot of times I'm doing other ones to feed into those because all of those actions feed into other actions.
Exactly, yeah. The fact that it's like, oh, I need to have my faith higher because
Right.
that's going to help me out with this faction. Yeah,
Right.
the fact that everything ties into each other, you almost really can't go wrong with the decision.
Right,
Like,
and that's why I like it.
Yeah.
There's lots of choices, but it's not Starvey, which I don't like. Starvey games.
Right.
Like Agricola. I think Agricola is a great game. I don't enjoy it because it's Starvey.
So you probably play Caverna instead.
Yep, I'll probably
yeah.
play Caverna. What's his new one? The Hallertau.
Hallertau?
I love that game.
Really?
It's really good.
Okay.
It's
have to
probably
try-
in the top 20 for me.
Okay. I've never played Caverna Agricola. I have Agricola, but I was like, I bought it on a whim, and I'm like, I feel like this game is going to piss me off.
It probably will, honestly.
Like, it's like, ooh, my farm, and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
And I, like, yeah.
So Agricola does tend to piss me off, but at the same time, I play it with 1 or 2 friends who I'm pretty ultra competitive, and we're all kind of ultra competitive against each
Yeah.
other. So it's like, we all know we're going to be competitive. We all know we're going to starve. So it's like, let's just win.
Yeah, let's just starve
It's
together.
pretty, cutthroat.
Okay. So, I don't remember what I was gonna say. So like in Agricola, can you affect other people?
In the sense that you will take action spaces that are needed for everyone.
Oh, I see.
And so, there's really limited wood supply, and like only one good wood supply.
okay.
Well, you need wood to build more houses. Well, if you get off by 1 turn, then you're going to be short 1 worker compared to the next person.
I see.
And so you have to then choose: am I even going to go that strategy, or am I going to go this strategy,
okay.
or how do I compensate for that problem?
Gotcha.
And that's why I call it Starvey. There's just, you gotta hit certain locations, and there's priority to certain locations. And so first player is super important, but then
okay.
taking first player is kind of costly, and so it's a balance of costs.
Gotcha.
Which is good. I mean, if you want a super, super, super tight game,
Yeah.
that's it.
Gotcha.
That's probably the tightest game I ever want to play.
I don't think it's like I like tight games, but I don't like people being able to like truly mess with that, like
Right.
because I can throw a wrench. And with Paladins, it's like the only player interaction is really the in draft.
the in-draft and a little bit like by the end the board.
Oh
at the
yeah,
top
the abilities,
Right.
Which the expansion
fixes. that
fixes,
too.
and the expansion also added something that I very much enjoyed, and it changed how you draw your cards.
Yeah.
Because what was it? You pick one to use, one goes on top, one goes on, and one gets removed.
Right.
And I thought that was a massive
Yep.
change because then it's like, where is he? Oh my god, I got rid of him.
Right.
I'm fucked. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
Yep.
good one. And number 3.
Yep. All right. Let's see what number
Let me see if
2
I can guess your
is.
number 2 because I know you're number 1.
You're probably not going to guess number 2, but you can try.
It's all right. What's the genre?
Trader. Semi co-op.
Nemesis.
Nope.
If it's Outpost at whatever,
Nope. Not that one.
Trader. Huh.
Older game.
Well, now I'm just drawing a blank. I have to know it.
Yeah, you definitely
I'm like,
know.
there's
It's now kind of classic-y.
All right, go for it.
Dead of Winter.
Oh, okay. Come on.
Right.
Yeah. Really? At number 2?
Yeah, so
That's
this one
interesting.
is the game that got me into the hobby. Like, really honestly got me into the hobby.
Okay.
Still love it to this day. Have had probably, I call it, the most memorable moments in board gaming playing it. So, like, a friend of mine almost died in the hospital, so we brought Dead of Winter, and we played in the hospital, like, you know, an entire couple days.
Oh,
just
okay.
playing through the campaign of Dead of Winter.
Is there a campaign?
So, in the original one, there is a story order to the missions.
Oh.
And they actually have stories in the back of the book depending on you win or lose.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
You're right.
They're not huge. They're not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
anything
So,
expensive.
Dead of Winter is my number 120.
Okay.
It felt I remember it falling out. But I did play it not at my bachelor party, but at a friend's bachelor party, and it's super good.
Yeah.
Like,
It holds up. To me, it's still the best trader game I've played.
I was about to say it's not a trader game, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And do you play it where there's guaranteed a betrayer? Because I think
Pretty much
by the
always.
rules you actually
So there's,
You have
there's
enough-
a variant.
okay.
Yeah. There's a variant
Where
where
you-
you want it. So it's 1 out of however many people playing chance of not.
Okay.
So, and that's the way we always play. So if there's 5 people, you have 6 cards total. So
I see.
theoretically, there isn't one.
okay.
The chances that
Chances
aren't
are-
one
gotcha.
are unlikely.
I think that's probably the better way because I think the original rules is like there's like
2.
two for each player and,
Yep,
then,
and
one.
then 1.
Yeah, and at that point it's like, well, because Dead of Winter
Right.
has one of those where it's like, okay, we've all figured unless the trader is playing really really well, if everyone can kind of figure out that there's no trader, the game's easy because
Right.
everyone's just really working together.
But I played kind of like the Outpost game that you hated.
Mm-hmm.
I played one super well and just crushed at the end. And everybody, I convinced everybody I was good.
Nice.
Like, made it look great, and I was
No.
Southern cult leader.
Outpost was garbage because it has a stupid ending.
Right, it's a gamble always.
Right.
It's a straight up gamble.
It's like, wait, why can't I use this item we just got
Right.
to check? And
Right.
it's like, nope, we gotta run. And I'm like, that's stupid. But like Dead of Winter, and Dead of Winter do you do the where you do a crossroads every
Nope.
time, or you actually do it if it thank you?
Yeah.
Because someone's like, we do it every time,
No.
and I'm like, that dilutes it.
Yeah,
like,
it makes it less.
special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the whole to me, why Dead of Winter still holds up is you have these random crossroads that tend to be fairly serious, fairly, an actual kind of decision to
Yeah.
make, where sometimes it's never good, like,
Right.
which is great. Like, it's a survival game that actually says it's kind of a rough world if you had zombies in it.
Yeah.
Now, right, it's not that hard if you know there's no trader involved. But if you're playing a group of 4 or 5 people, which
Yeah.
is where I think it shines at 4, it's about perfect. And there's a high chance of being a trader involved in it.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of a gamble. How far do you push?
Right.
I do like Longest Night. I think the crossroads were better in the original, but I like the modules of Long Night.
No, yeah, the Long Night is super good. I mean, I just shuffled them all together,
Right.
Like, and the fact that they actually added like serious adult ones,
Right.
I'm like, hell yeah, let's just toss these in,
Right.
And what's really cool about those crossroads is they incorporated out of game elements as well. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, if anyone yawns, boom,
Right.
weird. Like, and then some of them are like really good. It's like, hey, it's a psychologist in here. It's like, oh yeah, that's me. You get to look at someone's like
Right.
secret objective. Oh, great, that's awesome.
Right.
And then, have you ever exiled anyone?
Very rarely.
Okay.
I think we've exiled, like when we were playing the campaign style, we exiled one person who he wasn't the traitor.
Don't you lose like a morale or something?
You lose a morale, but if you exile 2 people, you lose the game.
Okay, I was wondering.
And so-
I don't think I've ever agreed to do it because it's like the game's long
Right.
enough that it's not fair to be like, yeah, you don't get to play anymore.
Yeah, because realistically, because normally you don't exile to like last turn or 2,
Mm-hmm.
and so they have a new secret objective they have to complete at that point that they had no idea what they needed to do.
Yeah,
And a chance that has anything to do with what you were attempting before,
right.
it's just terrible.
Yeah. No, the Long Night was really good because it had the experiment module. It had
Bandits.
It had gear,
Right.
like, upgrades for your colony.
And, right.
Had
Explosive barricades.
yeah,
Freaking awesome.
had a graveyard, so you could look
Which
at all the people who just
honestly,
died.
it was like, thank God, because you had a spot to actually put the people cards on
Yeah.
it. Because like that was one of the things. Like it still bothers me. There's no location for crossword cards anywhere, like an actual deck spot.
Oh, I
There's
guess
plenty
not.
of room for it,
Yeah,
and they have a deck spot now for everything else.
true.
And I'm like, just pick one of the spots that you have that you could have done it over.
Yeah. Did you... So, Plaid Hat, luckily, thank God, they are no longer under Asmodee.
Right.
But when they were, did you play Gen 7?
Nope, because
Because it was $100 and it was
it was
dog
expensive,
shit.
and as soon as it came out, everyone was like, "Wow, this is bad."
It was horrible.
Right.
I think I gave it like... I must have given it like a 3 or a 2.
Because I was
And
looking forward to it.
I was too. I was like, oh my god, it's Dead of Winter but in space.
Right.
And it was bad. And it was so bad. And then they had the audacity to charge, I think it was like $80.
Something like
And then
that.
they're like, here's our $50 expansion. And I'm like, you guys need to be shut down.
Right.
Like, I think I'd have to look back on my discussion, but I was pissed. Because I'm always the one that buys the game. So now I'm the one that ate the cost. And then...
You weren't the only one. Like,
Well,
a lot of
right.
people dislike that one.
It, like, I don't remember such a dramatic failure from
Right.
a well-renowned company.
From,
And
I think, the same creators of Dead of Winter.
I think so. I mean, so it had to have been Asmodee,
I
like,
assume.
controlling it. And then I can't remember if then they did Forgotten Waters,
Okay.
which is amazing.
Haven't played
It
it, so
is-
I need to play it.
It's pirates.
Ooh.
But it's app driven, and
I do know what you're talking about. Yep.
and it's weird because you need 4.
Right.
If you have 3, you have like a variant. You have like an AI kind of player, and then if it's really weird if you have 2.
Sure.
But it's kind of action selection. Like it's based off of a book, kind of what Plaid Hat does
Right.
now with all their games. It's a spiral bound book, and you have a character, and then you're going, and you can kind of screw each other over, but it's hilarious. It's well written. They have crossroads like cards as well as events in the app. And that was such a night and day difference from Gen 7.
Yep.
And I think that came up before they split from Asmodee, but now they're back to
Right.
being their own company. Honestly, Forgotten Waters, before I eat my words, let's see where that is at. Because I don't want to say I like it better. It is 2 behind Dead of Winter.
Okay.
It's 122. But that's also because I haven't played it as much. I did it for the channel and then haven't played it since, just because you kind of need 4. But if you like Dead of Winter, definitely, because it's like magical pirates. Like
Okay.
it's very mystical and just awesome.
Right.
So if Dead of Winter is your number 2, then you'll most likely like Forgotten Waters.
Okay.
All right, and your number 1, it's obviously I can't believe it, Steam Watchers.
I know. I mean, Steam Watchers just gets it going for me.
Like just everything about it. It's no, it's obviously TI.
Right. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that TI is the best game out there.
Where is it for me? Because that game, it's fluctuated. I can actually tell you because I keep track of where it was
Sure.
2 years prior. So it is off my top 100 games of all time. It hit number 28.
Okay.
But in 2020, it was 63.
Really?
Because I hadn't played it in
Okay.
like 2 years.
Right.
And then in 2020, I played it like 3 times.
Right.
And so it just shoots back up. But
Oh, yeah.
whenever you're doing the top 100, you're like, well, can I really justify keeping this up so
Sure.
high if I haven't played it in 2 years? If I
Yeah,
like it that much,
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
should be playing it more.
Right.
So, so yeah, like that was probably one of the biggest jumps, and yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
I really, I mean, if I had to put any negative on it, it's only held back by the group you play it with.
Right.
That's really it.
Right.
So it has probably one of the biggest potentials to crash and burn.
Yeah. I've not.
Probably not in your case because you play it so much and you have a dedicated.
I have a
way to play
dedicated
it.
group that I play it with. I mean, so the first time I played it, I was living in Rolla. I drove up to St. Louis with somebody was like Memorial Weekend just looking for players. As has like we'll do a potluck. No, I think 3 people knew each other in a
Okay.
6-player game. Showed up to this guy's house and played TI for the first time, and was hooked on it.
Yeah.
The entire time. Love TI.
That would have been 3rd edition, right?
No, this was still 2nd, so I didn't
Oh,
get really
okay.
into.
So you played 2nd. Okay.
Sorry, it was 4th edition.
Oh, okay.
4th edition.
Oh, so you didn't play you'd never played 3rd edition.
No, never
Oh,
played 3rd
okay.
edition.
Okay, interesting.
I have a friend who had played a lot of 3rd edition, like growing up,
You're.
and he was like, because I started with 4th, and he's like, yeah, I wouldn't go backwards.
Oh God, no. Like, I was about to say you're not missing anything. 4th
Right.
edition is superior in every way.
Right. Still to this day, love TI. We'll play it, pretty much anytime I can get it to the table.
Yeah.
I've played with a lot of different groups. I have not had bad experiences all that often. Once or twice where someone was losing and so they decided just to leave. And I'm like, okay, I understand. But you kind of committed to the group that you're going to play it. Like, you knew how long this game. It's not
Right.
even the first time you've played TI before.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know it.
That's super salty.
Right. And so we stopped inviting those people.
Yeah.
And, I mean, kind of to your point, you just kind of clean up your group till it's like, this is a group that's going
Yeah.
to play it, and we tell anybody that's new, it's like, hey, this is a 6 to 8 hour game. You are committing to 6 to 8 hours. If you do not, we are just never going to play a game with you again.
Yeah.
And so, you're upfront about it, at least. If it's like, okay, if it runs long, we can take a break, we can go get pizza, whatever. But we are going to finish this game.
It's basically guaranteed. Like the 2 times I played in 2020 was, I mean, through group chat. Hey,
Right.
pick a day. When is everyone free? Okay, this is the day. Like, we're gonna start at 10. Get
Yep.
up here. And luckily, that time the friend had the expansion, so he actually got up here before everyone to help me set
Sure.
it up. But now I own the expansion, so just get it all set up.
Yep.
And got the broken token insert. It's just
amazing.
like, oh, here's your piece, and it's
Right.
so clean.
Right.
That's a must-have insert.
So, like, I actually built my own insert before they even came out with
Oh,
it
really?
because I was like, it has to have something.
does.
Otherwise,
If you don't like this size table is the 4x6,
Right.
doesn't fit it.
no,
It's in with the expansion.
Right.
It's because you have the expanded board.
Right.
It's just, and you're playing with 6,
right,
and it's a massive table hog. But so going back real quick, 3rd edition. Did you ever know how 3rd edition
Yeah.
played? That tech tree
Was terrible.
awful.
Yep.
Like, just the fact that they cleaned it up where it's like, hey, you just need these colors.
right,
It's
and
so much better.
to me, so there's already enough chance for analysis paralysis, even in 4th, that in 3rd, like, do I spend these plans for resources or votes? Because I don't know if when the voting's going to start.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
in 4th, the vote's going to start. You spend all your plans, you gain them all back for votes. That's 2 separate things.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because
Right.
3rd edition was just it was the politics card.
Yes.
But they can do that
Whenever.
before they pass.
Right.
They have to do it. But you're right.
But it could have been halfway through the turn,
Yeah.
beginning of the turn, end of the turn,
Yeah, and they could just wait till everyone used it and be like, oh, okay.
or pop it off at the
Did you
beginning.
not get them all back in 3rd edition? I thought you unflipped all
I
your.
don't think so.
No. Because in fourth you do that, you get all your planets
'cause
back.
In third, realistically, you had 3 resources. You had influence, you had votes, and you had resources itself. In fourth edition, you have influence and resources, but then it all goes to votes at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And that's great.
I even forgot about that just as a mechanic, but because I always remembered the tech tree was like, okay, how do I get a War Sun? It's similar to, Civ, where it's like, you need this.
Right.
But fourth edition, it's just like,
It's
okay,
very-
what
it's
do I
very
want to do
plain.
to get asteroid defense? Oh, I need a red and a green.
Right.
Boom. And and that allows for more variety. You don't have to have
Right.
these 2 specific things that do nothing for you just to get this one. You
Right.
can pick cool upgrades.
Right. And so just I would call it those cleanups that happened to me are useful.
Yeah.
So
you-
that's why I won't play.
Have you played every faction? Or have you seen every faction
I've definitely
played?
seen every faction played. I'm trying to think if I actually have played, because I played a lot of draft, and so in a lot of those drafts you burn factions that people just don't want to play against.
So kind of like a Rainbow Six, like online Rainbow
Right.
Six, where it's like, everyone's gonna vote to have the shield user not be playable.
Right.
Okay.
So like Hakan is very often removed just because people like that adds an
Hakan,
hour.
the Lions?
The Lions. It adds an hour to the game because everybody plays them or trying to negotiate with everyone all the time.
That's fair.
And I get that.
That's their entire
Right. That's the entire. Which, if I'm playing for a day, then not that big of a deal.
True.
But I play online a lot, and those games are trying to be at least semi-time oriented. Like, we want to be done in 6 hours.
Yeah.
And pretty consistently, we're done in 6 hours.
Yeah.
While still playing a competitive game. We just then, Colin doesn't get chosen.
Okay.
And there's always some negotiation.
Right.
And like I throw out ghosts because I find them annoying in games. Not really like as a
The
player.
ghost
It's just
with the warp flagship.
because they pop into spots that I don't want them to pop in. So I just will try to remove them from games.
Yeah.
and that's fine. But I love it. It's a ton of negotiation. It's a ton of I played against a person where I had a shitty slice. And the guy was a powerful faction, and he kind of was eyeballing my slice. It's like, if you come and take this planet, my entire purpose will be to just take your homeworld for the rest of the game. Like, I won't win, because you will guarantee by taking my slice I won't win.
Yeah.
I will work so you won't win either. And that was a negotiation tactic. Could I have done it?
Didn't you say
Maybe.
that you hated when people did that?
I hate win making.
Oh, I see.
I have no problem at turn 1 telling my neighbor, like, I'm going to try to eliminate you if you come
gotcha.
into my slice like
That's
that.
funny.
Because to a certain extent, for me, it's still a negotiation tactic.
Did that guy still end up taking your thing?
Nope.
No?
But I played where guys did, and then we were slight enemies, but realistically it was somewhat boistering, to kind of keep them away.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, you did this, you owe me some cash, and I need it now. Like, sure, because at
Yeah.
that point, like, I had the power to go and basically do something bad to them.
Right.
And it would have helped me, but there was a better move.
So I'm curious, because you've definitely played TI way more than I have.
Right.
How often do War Suns actually come into play? Because in the 3 latest games I've played, no one ever ends up building one.
Maybe 1 in 5 games.
Because I figured they're so powerful that it's like, shit, they got it. We probably just need to start.
It's actually kind of almost the opposite. It's so
Really?
hard to get to them, and they're $12.
Yeah,
And at $12, I can build 3 dreadnoughts.
true.
So it's cheaper to get the tech to get to dreadnoughts. You already want to go blue tech anyway. And so for most factions, why would I do it? There are some factions that I argue, like, you have the money, you want to go red path anyway.
Okay.
Why are you not doing War Suns? It's kind of a great idea.
Yeah.
But at $12 in a game that's getting tighter and tighter for resources, at least at the level that I'm playing, where people are pretty tight on their dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine certain factions like Hakan, for example, being
Right.
like,
They can do
yeah,
it.
we just have all the money.
Right, especially with the expansion, that as long as they can get the tech, which isn't that hard for them, if they want to go red, their commander allows them to build anything they want for free, as long as they have the space dock capacity for it. They get one time where they can build.
Oh, like their level 3 guy?
Yes.
Oh.
Just build anything for free.
Ew.
So you build all your Warsons.
Ew. Because they're, like, disgusting to be able to take
Right.
down. I do remember playing a 3rd edition. They had a variant where you could, if you had one solo.
Yes.
I think it's in 4th as well.
No,
Is it?
no,
Did they not
they
carry
did
it
not
over?
carry it over.
So in 3rd, it was if you
Yes.
had one lone fighter.
It had to get like the so
you had to get, like, crits over and over.
yeah, because you had to. So you did the back and forth, and then if you had any fighters left over, you rolled anything that was a crit got through, and then you had to roll again. And you need another crit.
To blow it up.
Right.
Yep. I've had one instance where that happened, and it was amazing.
Right.
It was like, oh, because that's such a cool little thing. Cause
It
the,
is.
The chance of that happening is 0, virtually.
And I understand, like, you try and tighten up TI4. So to me, that is a rule that just adds time because it's not going to happen.
yeah.
But at the same time, that one moment on a Saturday that happens, like, we're done.
Yeah,
Game's over.
I have won all of TI. Like, I'm ultimate
Crown
champion.
me now.
You have, like, your own crown. You're wearing, like, a Star Wars thing. Kick everyone else out of your house for some reason.
Right.
Every time you see them,
Or if
you're
it's
just
their
like,
house. I mean, just kick them out of their house.
I am sleeping with your wife today, and she's like down. She's like, okay, he did it. Yeah, it's so good. So, would you say do you think TI has a meta?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
It does?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I mean,
Metas suck.
in the sense of, I would say there is a meta in the sense that once you get to a certain level, there's enough people that analyze the game. Now, most people will argue, and I will agree with this, the expansion helped fix some of the meta problems.
Okay.
So, like, Space Cats, Peace Turtles, and that group had a guide that pretty much walked you through every single faction.
Okay.
Now, with the expansions, there's now so many more avenues of things to do that the chance that you actually know what you need to do in a very specific order is kind of out.
Okay.
Because before, there was like 10 objectives for each level. So 10 level 1s, 10 level 2s. So you could just math that out and say, okay, pretty much guaranteed you need 2 tech and 2 colors and 2 upgrades. Because at that point, you're going to hit a level 2 and you're going to hit any level 1s that pop up.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you add another 10 to each of those, you can't math it. So you
Right.
really do have to play flexible.
Okay.
You have to play like, yeah, I would like all that tech, but at the same time, if tech never comes out as an objective, I can't waste money in buying tech necessarily.
True. Yeah.
So that's some of the things they fixed. They fixed the fact they doubled the action card deck. So
Yeah.
getting a sabotage is now rare. Like,
True.
because there's only 4 sabotages and twice as many cards. So
Sabotage was the cancel, right?
yes,
Yeah.
And so the chance that all 4 are out by the end of the game, which in base was all the time,
Okay.
means you don't know anymore.
Gotcha.
2 now out is kind of good. Like that's
Okay.
pretty solid. So they did things like that took away what I call a streamlined meta. There's
I
still a
see.
meta of this faction should probably do these things, but you don't have to. But they're going. I mean, that's what they're geared towards. That's what
Okay.
they're built for. It's kind of like Root in the sense like the Woodland Alliance shouldn't be just going on the outskirts. They need to get in the middle.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And you could call that a meta.
Yeah.
It's also just a smart play.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a meta, kind of like. Whenever I hear meta, I think Magic.
Right.
Whenever it's like this is the meta, this is the modern deck you need to play if you're gonna win. And so it's like, okay, TI, if I play this faction, we'll use the if I play the cons. What if I want to do this? And it's like, yeah, you're guaranteed to lose unless you do it this specific way.
No, so that's not there.
Okay.
Because there's a guy who literally, I think, came in the top table for the last Space Cats Peace Turtle. That they were the Winnu, and the Winnu have actually gone quite a bit better. Like before, they were trash. They're the guys who take over Mechatol Rex. They're purple people.
Okay.
Fairly weak, at least in base game. They get pretty good, and like they're really good now at taking Mechatol Rex. It's not that like their unlockability for their level 2 guy is just to have a fight, like either take Mechatol Rex or have a fight in Mechatol Rex and instantly unlocks.
Okay.
He won a game at like the semifinals with never unlocking that ability. So he
Really?
never took Mechatol Rex once. And so he was so good at just negotiating everybody else's deal Like, and that's what I love about TI.
Yeah.
Like, again, we talked the other day. I played a game in TI where there wasn't a single dice roll for combat, and I played where it was space risk.
Right.
And I played everything in between.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's
Yeah.
what I love about it.
No, I agree. It is, if you're gonna talk about epics, like TI is easily brought up.
Yep.
Like, oh my god, it's that and Battlestar Galactica
Yep.
are like two
Epics.
just epics of
Right.
you are gonna have memories
Yep.
with those games. All right. Well. Fantastic list. I really didn't disagree with a single one. Dead of Winter was a little weird,
Right.
being that high, but yeah, those are all extremely solid games. But that's it, everyone. Let us know what you think of Zach's games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.